Hey guys, welcome. Welcome online to our monthly series where we interview mega agents and try to glean some really interesting information that's going to help us in our business. So my name is Robert Stewart. I'm here with Michael Kaslow, who is this month's mega agent interview. Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Good morning. Good afternoon.
Yeah, thank you for your time. It's a real honor to have you. I wrote notes before this and I've got questions for you.
I'm ready.
So we can start very generally. How long have you been in real estate?
So I've been in real estate for 17 years. I started with getting my license in Colorado, and I did that part-time. And then when I moved to Minneapolis, I was in a different career for a number of years until I got laid off. And when I got laid off, I decided that I was never going to be I was never going to have a job that somebody else could be in charge of my destiny, because I worked my butt off, and I thought, I gave it everything I had, and then came into work one day, and someone from HR that never met me gave me my options for leaving. So from there, I'm getting right back into real estate. I'm going to do it full time. And I started with a different broker when I first got into it. I was a solo agent on my own. And over time and need, now we've got a team. We're a smaller team. We've got 11 people. So 6 of us are full-time realtors. And then we have 5 full-time assistants on our team, which we call our production team.
Excellent. Over the last 17 years of your career, what do you consider the highlights? Like, what are those big points, those 2 or 3 big points along the way?
Yeah, for me, the number one, and for those of you who may be new to this industry and you're getting into it and it's not easy, congratulations, you got into real estate at the very best time you could ever get in. I'm very grateful because when I really started to build a business was in 2007 and 2008 when the market was crashing. And every single one of my sales was either a foreclosure or a short sale. And every file was this thick, and it took 6 months at least to close.
And no houses had electricity or heat.
Right. And
they all smelled.
They all smelled, or they were ransacked, or who knows. But it was. And you could have waited 6 months and got 2 weeks before closing, and the bank could have said, no, we're not doing this anymore.
So when you got into real estate, this was 05-ish?
05-ish, yeah.
You're probably thinking, wow, this is a great time.
Yeah. and I was waiting for I was not when I say full time, I wasn't doing the activities that would have brought in the business when the business was there. I was waiting for all of my friends and my family to say, Michael, we know you're a realtor, we're going to use you. And they were the last ones to use me. I had to prove myself to them so that it wouldn't impact our relationship. And so I was waiting for the phone to ring, and it didn't. So then I had to get out there and figure out how to build a business on my own. And once I figured that out, the market was crashing, and it was all short sales and foreclosures.
You did that at the hardest time there was to do that. So for agents who've been licensed for less than, 6-7 years, there was a period of time where every day you woke up, the market was harder than the day before. And that lasted for about 6-7 years.
Yeah, and it was not unusual for my clients to come to closing bringing their own money to close. So in order to close on their home, they were bringing checks for $5,000 and $10,000 and $20,000 to their closing. They were not leaving with money. They were bringing money to the closing table. So I'm grateful for that time, because I learned while I was growing my business how hard it was. And so when there's times where it gets easier, that's just a bonus, but it's never going to last. And so you always have to be prepared and know what to do when the market isn't just bringing clients organically to you. You have to know how to generate business for yourself and not wait.
That's fantastic. So my next question, you've already kind of covered it, which was, what is the structure of your team? You said there's 11 people, 6 people in sales, 5 on the administrative production side.
Yeah.
It sounds like that your salespeople are really, really well supported. If I may ask, last year, how many sides and what were your sides and volume for last year?
So last year we closed 58 million in volume, and I want to say we closed 127 units. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm going to follow up with that question with how many people are in your Met database?
So right now, for me personally, I double checked this after we met. So for me personally, I've got, as a team, we've got about 23,000 people in our database. And for me personally, I'm sitting at about 13,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just doing some math here. Yeah. So, well, what's your total number? 23?
23,000 is in our database total. And then 13,000 of it is mine.
Okay. So according to this is something I always track. I always want to see what people do in volume and link that back to the size of their database. Each contact in your Met database is worth about $2,500 a year, which is on the really high side of what I've seen.
Yeah.
Usually my experience with agents to this point has been 750 to 1,200, somewhere in there. And you're about double that, double the high side. We'll talk about that here in a second. What do you consider your top 3 choice of your top 3 sources of leads?
So for the team, so there's a few different things that we do. For me personally, my top 3 sources of leads are Sphere, Farm, and the third would be referrals. And so to clarify, I am running a 100% relationship business. There is nothing wrong if there are realtors out there who choose to run a transactional business. There's nothing wrong with that. We all have different strengths and we all have different abilities in this industry. And so what you have to learn and figure out is, where's your muscle? Where does most, and you got to track. You always have to track where your business is coming from so that you can go back and say, because there's some people who would say, I'm really good at relationships, and you go and you look and none of their business came from relationships. So it can kind of check you sometimes, because there's things you think you might be really good at, but if you look at where your business comes from, you might have to be like, I love doing that, but I'm not very good at getting those folks to work with me. So I need to really lean into where my business comes from.
If I may clarify, when you say relational and that's where you spend your capital and energy and things like that, can I understand that to mean you're also not paying Zillow for leads? You're not, like, do you use AdWords budgets? Do you divert any income to that?
Yeah, so this is a hard conversation for me when I answer this.
Okay.
So we have not paid for leads. But what we do is we invest a lot of time and energy into our farm. So 2 years ago, I opened up my own mega agent office. And so it's my team's office smack dab in the middle of the farm that I've been farming now for over a decade. And recently,
did you see my questions before we started this? Because you're like taking them in order.
Oh,
you're doing a great job.
Recently, so I have never paid Zillow. As a matter of fact, I have been I've been very vocal about why in the world would we pay, or why would we pay somebody whose goal is for us to always have to pay to get leads.
Worse yet, put us out of business.
Or put us out of business, absolutely. And this is really hard for me to even admit, because of how much energy I've put behind not doing this. But my zip code of my farm, which I've been working for over a decade, that zip code has not opened in over a decade. And just about 5 months ago, a significant portion of that zip code opened up with Zillow. And because of the budget that we put into marketing in our farm, I really thought about why would I allow another realtor to come in and also market and get leads in the farm that we are investing all of this time and money into. And I made the really hard decision to buy that portion of what was opened, and
protecting your turf.
And it was protecting the turf. And you just, sometimes you have to make some really tough decisions when it comes to things like this. And I could be talked into it and I can be talked out of it. But I will say that when I made the decision to do it, as I look back, I was probably making a decision with a scarcity mindset, because if you think about this was when the interest rates were going up and all of a sudden the market was really starting to slow down. And this opportunity opened up that I haven't been able to have in over 10 years, and smack dab in the middle of where we do most of our business. So would I do it again? I don't know. Has it paid off and paid for itself? Absolutely.
Okay, because that's one of my questions, because in order for it to open up, someone had to drop out.
Yeah, so not just Zillow, but I'm talking about anything that you're doing in your business to let people know that you're a realtor, to let people know that you're in their community. I think what is important, and what I was recognizing, is a bunch of agents were starting to pull back their marketing dollars, and they were starting to pull back from all the things that were helping them with their business. And I've always been a believer that, kind of like the stock market, when the stock market crashes, that's the time to go in and buy, because you're not going to be able to go in and buy these things at that price for a very long time or ever again. And it's the same thing with our business. When most agents are cutting costs, if you have the ability and it financially makes sense for you, you go in and you grab those things and you go in and you take them, because number one, you're probably everyone's leaving, so you're probably going to be able to negotiate with these companies a cheaper price than the folks that left. And you get these opportunities. Now, I'm not saying it should be Zillow or any of these things, but maybe it's billboards, maybe it is park benches, maybe it is next door, maybe, whatever that is, where now you have the opportunity because someone else pulled out. Think about what that looks like for you and your business.
And then in that market, if you are going to cut money, cut it from your personal budget, not your business budget.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest mistakes that agents make when the market were reactionary, right? And ultimately, what I want all of you to think about is creating a business that insulates you from what's happening in the market. Once you've got a business that, whether the market is strong or the market is slower, if you've created a business that is insulated from that, that's when you know that you're doing the right thing and you're not following what everybody else is doing. If you follow what everybody else is doing, you're always going to get the same results. I'm always looking, I'm listening all the time. What are other people doing? And I'm usually doing the opposite, to be honest.
Awesome. Well, we're going to shift gears here, because I know a little bit about your business practice and the way you operate. And this is going to be really good information for any of you who've thought about taking on a farm and what it takes in terms of commitment. We have a case study in that right here. So tell me about your farm. You said it's a zip code, but define it for me a little bit geographically.
Sure. So it's Southwest Minneapolis. And if you're familiar with the neighborhoods, it's Tangletown, Lyndhurst, Fulton. So kind of, what's that?
The nice one.
The nice ones. And to be clear, this has been.
You were probably the only agent that thought to farm that area.
The what?
The only agent that had the idea to farm this area, aren't you?
It's been a battle, And when I decided that I wanted a piece of that market, there were already 5 realtors who had been working that market for 20 years that were entrenched, and everybody knew who they were, and they owned it. And I just said, I want that one day. And I had to make a commitment to myself, whether this is a 5 or a 10 or a 15-year plan. This is what it's going to take for me to be that agent, that one that everybody knows.
Okay,
And,
Michael, how long have you been farming that area?
So it's been 12 years. And in the last year and a half, we finally are the agent of choice for our area, for our farming area. But it took over 10 years for that to happen, because all of the other agents who owned that, I had to wait for them to retire, or for their businesses to slow down. And I was very aware of what they were doing. And I was very aware of their businesses and watching everything that they were doing, so that as I saw their numbers start to come down, that's when I boosted even more. That's when I went out and started doing it even more. When I saw their numbers coming out, when we do a client event, guess what? Our farm is invited, not just our past clients, and we have our events in the farm. So, and it's, all of a sudden we're inviting 7,500 homeowners to a pumpkin festival. What? Like, what if everybody comes?
Yeah.
How
many come?
I would say when we invited the farm from our client, so on our client events, we usually get between 300 to 400 people that attend. And once we invited the farm, that probably boosted another 10 to 15, which always remember, with your events and everything you do, it doesn't matter if one person comes or 500 people come. It's the activities that you do to get them there, and then the follow-up afterwards. Hey, we had this pumpkin event. We're really sorry we missed you, but come again next year. And by the way, we've got this coming up next month. We'd love for you to stop by our office and contribute to our food drive, because we're really involved with our community, and we're donating our food drive efforts to a local food shelf.
What I heard you just say was, it's not successful if tons of people show up. It's successful if you get to market and communicate with these people systematically.
100%. It never, I think that if I was at an event and one person came, I'd be like,
That's a different conversation.
yeah, that's a different conversation. But it has nothing to do with the day of the event. It's the opportunities that you have before, and most importantly, the opportunities you have afterwards. That's where most agents miss the mark, is they spend so much time talking about what they're going to do, they do it, and then they're done. And where the prize is what happens afterwards. That's what really matters.
Okay, for the agents here and online who are thinking about starting a farm, what advice would you give on how to pick it? How would you pick your geography?
So it needs to be an area that you really understand, and that and that you are committed to going to school board meetings, that you know what construction projects are happening, the schools, what the school needs are, what the community, what's important to the community. And it's got to be something that once you decide to do it, it's got to be consistent. And the thing about farming is that if you're going to do it, you've got to be in touch with these people, and it can't just be, I'm your local realtor. It has to, because then you're just doing what everybody else does. You have to take it down a level and another level and another level, so that people say, okay, this person really knows our community. They know our neighborhood, and when it's time for me to sell or buy in this neighborhood, I can trust that they know how to market our house. They know how to market the neighborhood, because they're so involved in everything. So it's not good enough to just, I see some realtors that say, okay, I don't see a lot of agents in this neighborhood, but this neighborhood is 30 minutes away from you or 15 minutes away from you. You're setting yourself up to not be successful if you do that.
Paraphrasing what I just heard was, it's not enough to be available. We have to be valuable.
We have to be valuable. Yeah.
I love that. So, right next year. What are you currently doing right now to prepare for the future market? How are you shifting right now?
Yeah. So we have doubled down on our marketing efforts. Whether it is, so we outsource. So when I say that we have 5 full-time assistants, one of those, all 4 are in our office. We have a office manager, we have a director of operations, we have a listing coordinator, and we have a transaction coordinator, all in-house. And then we also have outsourced all of our marketing to somebody that she's basically a full-time employee, but she's got her own company. And we outsource everything to her because she knows that better than any of us do. I don't know how to read algorithms and decide the best time to push our new listing out into the Facebook world. If I did it, I'd be pushing it out when the lowest number of people. And so just knowing there's someone out there that does it better than I can do, that's how I've hired everybody on the team, agents, assistants, anybody that I meet that can do it better than I can, they've got the job as long as they're a good culture fit, right? So we've doubled down on our marketing. We've doubled down on our videos. If you are not in LinkedIn right now, you need to get your butt in there and you need to start getting really active because there's a lot of activity and a lot of people who are kind of freaked out with all the different other apps that are out there that make them nervous about financial or about private information, and they're going to LinkedIn to look for their realtors now. So if you're not in LinkedIn, you need to get in there and start promoting yourself, promoting your business, showing value. And I've been in this business a long time, and I am still out there door knocking. I am still out there. I'm lead genning every day. Not every day. Every week, I am out there door knocking our farm or door knocking where we have a new listing. If it's not me, it's an agent in my office, whoever's hosting the open houses. They are out door knocking and talking to homeowners that will answer the door within a 3-block radius. So we're doubling down on that. Every day I am lead genning. Every single day when I come into work, and I hate lead gen. I hate it. It is the thing about this job that I wish none of us had to do. And the biggest mistake I ever made when my business was like, oh, I'm a realtor. I have a business that's worth owning and a life worth having. I stopped my lead gen, and guess what?
Oh, yeah.
So it never matters how successful you are. The biggest mistake you can ever make is that I'm so good that I never need to lead gen again. Big mistake.
Yeah, you can't earn your way out of that position. And it's the last thing you ever give up.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm doubling down on accountability with my team. It is the reality right now is if you want to have a business worth having, our market today, the most recent numbers show that we're 33%. We have 33% less inventory than we did this time last year. And so that means that all of us should be working 33% more to have the same business we had last year. How many of you have the same goals this year that you had last year? I don't. And if you do, that's okay. But I don't. So if I do the same activities that I've always done, I'm going to get the same results. And so right now, for me and my team, and it's not fun. But we're going to get through this and we're going to get to the other side of it. And then we're going to look back and say, we did this. And so we're stepping up our activities 33% to match the market that we're in. Because remember, I talked about insulating your business. Part of insulating that business is understanding the amount of work you need to do in order to get to the other side of this and still be really proud of the business that you've got by hitting your goals.
That's wonderful. So, let's do something uncomfortable for a second. I'd like to know what a Michael Kaslow door knock sounds like. Would you do a script with me really quick?
Absolutely.
Awesome. I'm the homeowner in Fulton, and you come up to my door and you knock. Hey, what do you want?
Oh, you're answering.
Yeah, man, I'm answering. I'm not
I
you.
need to start with the knock, 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 right?
Go ahead. Oh, hey, what's up?
Hey, I'm Michael Kaslow. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Great. What is your name?
Oh, my name's Robert.
Hey, Robert. My name is Michael Kaslow. I'm the owner of MKT, and you probably saw the sign in your neighbor's yard. Your neighbor's selling their home, and they trusted me and my team to get their home sold. I'm stopping by today because I am having a neighbors only open house for the first hour on Saturday before the general public open house, just so that you can come in, see the house with your neighbors, say hi before everybody else comes in. So open houses from 12 to 2 on Saturday, from 11 to 12 is the neighborhood open first. So is that something you'd be interested in stopping by to see?
Oh, absolutely.
Wonderful. And at the same time, I would love when you come in, I'd love to learn about your home. If as you're leaving, I'd love for you to tell me what's better about your home, or how is this home better, and your opinion on the price.
Oh, that sounds really cool, actually. Yeah, I'll be there.
Neighborhood, I depend on the neighbors to help me with determining, market value is very important as a homeowner. Whatever this home sells for is going to be really important in how your home's going to be valued when it's your turn to sell. So I'm going to look forward to seeing you on Saturday at 11 and learning more.
That's okay. You just turned the open house into a community event.
For sure. Because what I'm saying to them is that I value them as a neighbor. I value their opinion. And when it comes to
Everyone wants to get their opinion.
everybody wants to. And so when instead of just saying, I'd like to invite you to the open house, when you explain why you want them there and you ask them, you're kind of giving them some homework ahead of time. I'd love, while you're there, before you leave, I'd love for you to tell me more about how your home compares to this one, because that always helps me in my analysis when your other neighbors are calling me because they're thinking about selling their home. Then when they come to the open house and they start giving me that list of things, guess what? I ask, your house sounds amazing. Whether you're trying to sell, whether you're thinking about selling or not, would it be okay for me to invite myself over just so I can see your home and see what and then when I'm there, I'm getting them set up on a home bot. I'm getting them set up on a home beat. I'm getting their contact information, but I'm not asking for it without providing value first. You'll always get people's correct information if you show value first. Yep.
Gosh. Okay. So the key phrase in there that got me was, when you at the open house, you'll meet the other neighbors and members of the community.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's good.
Absolutely. The other thing with our open house, we use a system called Spacio. Is that right? Yeah. We have a Spokio and a Spacio, and I get them mixed up. So we use Spacio for our open houses. Nobody from the public is allowed in our open house if they do not sign in. And what Spacio is really great about is it's online. And they enter their information, and when it hits enter, the system verifies the information they provided is accurate. And if it comes back that it's not, we'll come back and be like, oh, you must have put something in there wrong. Could you update this? And for people that say, you know what, I'm not interested in giving you my information, then I say, I absolutely understand, and I invite you to come back to this wonderful home with your realtor. And we do that for a couple of reasons. We are there to sell the home. We are there to find other sellers. We are there to find other buyers. And we just think that the more people that come in, the best open house it was. Well, you could have 40 people coming to an open house and not get one lead or one person who's really interested in buying that home. And you've wasted your time, you've wasted your seller's time. And so one of the reasons, and for safety, every 4 of the 6 agents on my team are women, and even myself, the women could kick my butt on my team. But I don't want any of us in an open house by ourselves. And I also want to be able to go back to my clients and say, here's a list of all the people that came into your open house, and these are the people that were there. And then they can see if it's their neighbors or people that they know or coworkers that they told. And when we can provide that list to them, and they're like, oh, I know him, I know her. Oh, good, I'm glad. It just makes people feel better.
I'd like to come back to the specifics of Spacio a little bit later, because I don't want to waste our time here talking about the technical aspects of a program.
Yeah.
What's the dumbest thing you've ever done in real estate? What would you consider your number one blunder?
Yeah. Assuming that I had the business and and hoping that I had the business. There was a very good friend of mine that was selling a very, very nice property. And I made the assumption that it was mine. And so I didn't go into our conversation or our meeting about the home, treating it like I would anybody else. And what this
purposeful.
Yeah, and what this person was depending on is that we could have a friendship that would be separated from the business of getting the home sold. And so I made the mistake of assuming. And so it's when I go in and I'm doing my presentation, I'm always presenting as if it is my business. But I skipped things that I normally would never skip with anybody that I'm taking their business seriously. And it's not that I didn't take it, I just made the mistake that it was mine.
Yeah, and if it's going to be business, it's going to be one way. We're not going to stunt that process because of any kind of other relationship.
For sure.
Oh, that's really awesome. What would you consider one of your smartest decisions you ever made in real estate?
Hiring my first assistant.
That was your key pivotal.
That was when my business went from this to this. And then when my second assistant was hired, it went to here, and third, it went to here, and fourth, it went to here. And at the time, I remember when I first hired my first assistant, I thought, where in the hell am I going to get this money? How can I commit to paying this person every 2 weeks when I don't know, like in this business, we can forecast and we know probabilities of when we have conversations of closings, but there's never any guarantee. And I thought, how can I commit myself to paying somebody? But as long as you hire them and you hire the right person, because that person is going to make an impact in your life and your business that allows you to scale your business, and organically the money just comes. And
Michael, how do you know when you've made a good hire?
I'm not hiring them. Yeah. So I'm not good at hiring people. And I learned that the hard way, because what happens is I will sit down with somebody, and if I love them and I just am like, you could be my best friend, you're hired. And then all of a sudden, a month later, it's like, oh my God, what have I done? I can't get rid of this person fast enough. And so I'm really good at a lot of things when it comes to real estate and teams and building teams. I'm really good at things. Hiring is not my strength. And so now my director of operations, my business coach, they're in charge of hiring until the very last step. When someone comes in for the initial interview, I'll come in and introduce myself and welcome them. And that's the extent of it. And then I'm there at the end once my director of operations and coach, and they've gone through the KPA and they've gone through everything, then they give me their recommendations, yes or no. And then I go in if it's a yes, and I trust their judgment. They know me better than I know myself in business. They know what I'm good at. So here's what I'm good at. Here's what I'm not good at. And when we hire, we're always looking for the people that are really good at the things that I'm not. And the hard thing is some of the people that we've hired, their personalities are people that I would initially never want to spend time with. And that sounds bad. That sounds bad. And what I'm trying to say, though, is I would have skipped over them. But their personality type is the perfect fit for that job. And it's my job to learn their love language, because they're the best fit for this job. And that's why I'm not good at it, because they have a different personality type that makes them the best in the business at what they do. So it's my job to figure that out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Final gear. What advice would you give to someone thinking about starting a team?
If you are thinking about it, do it. If you're thinking about it, do it, because every one of you that is thinking about it, but you haven't done it yet, by the time you start to do it, You're going to say, why didn't I do this last year? Why didn't I do this the year before? I've been thinking about this for a long time. If you're going to start a team, you need to make sure that you have something that you've created of value. You need to understand that people are going to come in and they're going to have expectations about what value do you bring to my business. You need to make sure that you're always looking at your own bubble, because when people come into your business, they want to grow. And some people want to grow faster than you may want to grow. And that's okay, as long as you are always making sure that their dreams fit inside of your bubble. Once someone joins the team, 99% of the people who leave a team, it's because they've gone outside the bubble and they don't see where there's any opportunity for growth within your team anymore. And because they're paying you a split, that's an expectation. It's not enough to offer support. It's not enough to generate leads or provide systems that will help them build their business. It's you always knowing exactly what their dreams are, what their financial thermostats are, and that you're creating an environment and an atmosphere where they can exceed those goals. And if you're not willing to do that, then you shouldn't be starting a team.
What they want should be easier to obtain for having been associated with the team.
Correct.
Yeah, well, that makes great sense. Let's piggyback on that. What advice? One of the things I've noticed in our Market Center Facebook group is we have a lot of people asking about joining teams. What advice would you give to someone thinking of joining a team?
If you're going to join a team, you have to be attached to the outcome of the team and not attached to your own business. That's a hard thing for entrepreneurs to think about. And people join teams all the time. And it's like, but this is me. This is me. This is what I want to do. I want my face on this. I want this to happen this way. And it's like, no, I've been doing this now for 15 years and I've built the business successfully for many agents. And if this is what you want to do, go do it. It sounds like a great idea, but it's not what we do. And so I think that if you join a team, you have to really understand what the vision of the team is, what the culture of the team is, that you value the systems and you value the support, and that you are willing to invest your time and energy into the entire team experience rather than just your own. Now I will say this, that's from my perspective, because when you join my team, we're full concierge. So we provide you with all the support. We write your offers, we do your marketing, we buy your business cards, we buy your signs, we buy your closing gifts. We do everything. We're full service. Every system, everything you need is covered by the team.
An agent's job is to go sell, and then
all the agents on the team, they don't have to do their own marketing. They don't have to do their own Facebook posts. They don't have to do anything. We've got people to do it. Your job is to find people, have conversations, lead gen, sell homes, and get folks under contract. And anything that gets in the way of you doing that is handled by our production team.
one final question. I'm circling back to something you mentioned earlier that fits the perfect time here. You said one of the things you really look for is someone who's a good culture fit. Can you articulate for us what a good culture fit means?
Yeah. Number one, no ego. We just do not do ego on our team. Ego is a cancer in a team, and it chips away very, very slowly. And folks on your team, you're gonna have all kinds of different personalities. Some people with big voices, some people with soft voices, and those soft voices get lost or disappear when you've got ego on the team. It's okay to be confident. It's okay to be experienced and knowledgeable and put that out there. But ego, we don't do. Culture is, part of our culture is that we are full-time. We work really, really hard. We don't come up with excuses. We fail together. We create opportunities together. And we succeed together. And And so it truly is one of the reasons that we're all together is because we realize in real estate, can be lonely and it can be hard. And having folks that every day you can come into the office and talk about, this is what I struggled with, and I wish this would have happened, and I lost this client, and those things. Gosh, you know what? I've been there, I've done that, I've had this. Let's talk about this, and we all come together. And or guess what? I just freaking knocked this out of the park. I want everyone to know, and then you can share what really worked with the rest of the team, and that's what we're about. Is we do this because we're a team, because we understand that we're stronger together than we are individually. And that's how we've found each other. And that's kind of the culture that we've got.
I like how you tied that up with a bow there at the end. What I heard you say was the first thing was ego, because ego says me, and what you're really looking for is we
and us. You will never, and it took time, but you will never hear me say I or me. It is always we. And that's just the way that we operate.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, those were all my questions. Do we have any questions here in the audience or online? I see we do have something in the chat.
It was answered.
Oh, excellent.
I have one. When did you know that it was time to hire your first assistant?
So most of my business is referral, and I've worked really, really hard on that. And I'll never forget when I had my when I had my third business coach, who I still have today. We've been together now for many, many years, and that's why she's part of my hiring and firing. And she does all of our one-on-one. She does one-on-one coaching with every agent on the team. She holds them accountable to numbers and all of that. But I'll never forget, and I will answer your question. When we first met, she's like, so where does all of your business come from? And I was like, 98% of my business comes from referrals. And I was so proud of it. And she's like, that's not good. She's like, what happens if all of a sudden that dries up? You're telling me you only have 2% of other streams of business coming in? And I was like, you're nuts, lady. Like, I worked hard for this and it's working. And she's like, yeah, and it's going to work until it doesn't. And so to get back to your point is, I was starting to see, and I was getting comments that the experience that folks were having with me were different than the folks that referred them to me. And they talked up how much support and kindness and communication and just all of the things that they experienced. And then all of a sudden I was seeing patterns that over and over again, people were not as pleased with the experience as those who were referred. And I just said, okay, this clearly has gotten to a point where I can't do this by myself anymore. And so that's when I hired my first assistant to take care of. And at that time, it was just one person who was just kind of picking up everything that I dropped. It was just very informal, but it worked. It did help me, and then all of a sudden it helped me to realize that we need policy, we need procedures in place. We need a procedure handbook for each role that's on the team, and we have to have standards for each role on the team, and that's how we've gotten to 5 now full-time assistants.
Notes here. I'm learning here too, so this is good stuff. Anything you would like to add that I didn't prompt?
I would just say that we're in a very unique place in the market right now, and yet there is still plenty of opportunity. And if you are going to sit around and commiserate with agents that are going to sit and complain about all the reasons that they're not busy, you're going to have the same results. You need to get out of those things if you're in them. You need to surround yourself by people who are busy. You need to surround yourself by people that, even if they're not busy, they're talking positively about opportunities in this market. And I promise you that if you do the activities, you're going to still have a wonderful business, even in a market right now that can be very challenging. And there's going to be, the National Association of Realtors just announced that there's going to be a fee increase for us because they're expecting, and this is the first time they've said this, we've heard people talk about agents leaving the business, but this is the first time NAR has acknowledged that they see over the next year a 15% decrease in the number of members. This is your opportunity to get out there and earn market share and get out there because, and if you just sit around waiting for things to happen, other agents are going to take that market share from you that you may very well deserve, but you just didn't have the courage to get out there and get it yourself.
I have a question. How many people are in your database?
What's that?
How many people are in your database?
We have 23,000 people in our
23,000,
database.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what are you doing to systematically communicate with them?
So so I use a database, and I know Command is out there, and that's great, but what you need to know is that Command didn't work well for Teams for many, many years. And so while KW was figuring out, and now I know that Teams are on Command and doing very, very well. But I've been on Boomtown for now 6 years, and we're so entrenched in it that it just doesn't make any sense for me to move out of Boomtown into another platform. And so why I chose Boomtown is because it gives you every tool you need to be able to systematically and consistently get in touch with people. And it gives you reminders for birthdays. It gives you reminders for anniversary dates. It gives you, I just got this lead. I'm going to call them tomorrow. They didn't respond. I can see if they responded or not. They did or they didn't. If they didn't, now I'm going to try text. If they did or didn't, now I'm going to try email. Now I'm going to do a BombBomb video. Now I'm going to do this. We're going to try 12 different times, different ways to get in touch with them. Know this, most leads that you get, unless it's somebody that is a for sure thing. My friend said, I should work with you. I'm ready to buy and sell right now. Great, let's get to work.
That's different.
That's different. But other leads that you get in different ways, by the time you meet them, they're probably 1 to 2 years out. And the biggest mistake that realtors make is they try to get in touch with them 2 or 3 times, and then they give up. And what you've done is you've just wasted an opportunity. We are all the time getting under contract with people that we first met 1 or 2 years ago. And the reason we're winning the contract is because we kept in touch with them consistently. So whether you're doing home beats, I'm a big fan of Cloud CMA. I think there's something similar in Command, but I love Cloud CMA because I can do a home beat, and every month there's a really nice report that gets sent out, and every person in our database that owns a home gets a monthly home beat and gets a monthly home bot. And that's 2 things that just automatically go out on my behalf to remind them that I'm a realtor. So it's that consistency and remembering that the people where you're going to really be successful in this business is when you figure out how to keep in touch with people who are still 1 to 2 years out before they're ready to do something.
Are you doing that via email? Are you doing that via text message?
Everything.
Social media? Are you calling those people?
All the time. All the time. Yeah, absolutely. We are keeping in touch with them because, and we always ask for permission. So what's your name?
Lisa.
What's that?
Lisa.
Lisa, it's Michael. Hey, it's been about 60 days since I last talked to you, and I can see from my notes that you are loving your neighborhood. I do see that you're on our website an awful lot looking at different properties. So I'm just checking in as a friendly check-in to see if you have any questions. Do you know anybody that's thinking about buying or selling, or any questions about your property? No, Michael, I'm good. I just love seeing what's going on in the neighborhood. Fantastic. Lisa, is it okay if I check in again in 60 days just to continue to say hello to see if you need anything? Absolutely. So I'm asking permission to call them again so that the next time I call them, I don't get a hang up or would you stop calling, and taking notes. Every person needs to know when you call someone, Michael, you know what? I slipped and fell on the ice and I'm kind of out of commission for the next 2 to 3 months. I'm so sorry that happened. write a note, send out a card. I'm so sorry that happened. My team and I are wishing you the best in your recovery, and we'll keep in touch. And then in 90 days, I'm calling Lisa, how are you doing? I would have never remembered 90 days from now that you fell and slipped on the ice because I'm talking to hundreds of people a month. But I have a note, and that could be that you're sick, or you just had a baby, or you got a puppy, or whatever that is. When you can call and you can tie your last conversation of what you learned to the next conversation, people aren't just going to try to get you off the phone because you remembered them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Relationship.
Yep.
Couple questions online. If a team member leaves, do they get their database back? And then do you pay for any leads for your team?
So my contract says that anybody that a team member brings into the team and gets uploaded into our database, when they leave with all of those. Any clients that they met on their own while they were without a team involvement. So if you met them in an open house, that's team involvement. If you met them door knocking, that's team involvement. But if you have a friend who introduced you and you found them with no help from the team, we tag those folks. So there's no, just like the best, if you're thinking about starting a team or you have a team, you don't have this in your contract. And who likes to talk about exit strategies when you're getting into business together? But the best contracts have the best exit strategies and very specific about everything that happens if you are to leave, because it'll save you so much heartache. And it takes, what's that? Yeah, and it takes the emotion out of it. And when teams break, when people leave, it can be emotional and it can be hard. And so it's not if everything is very, very well laid out. Yes, anything that is associated with the team while they were on the team stays with the team. And anything they brought to the team or they generated on their own, they take with them. It's interesting. I just had a team member say, Michael, you referred your friend to me and I did a great job for them. And now they referred one of their friends to me. So do I get a better split on this? And I was like, you did such a great job. And I'm so happy that you're now getting referrals from my sphere, I think, which I am. I really am. And, but we're always going to go back to where the root of the lead came from, because that just takes the emotion out. It makes it very clear. There's no questions. It's not because I'm trying to nickel and dime. We're coming from, we're going to get rid of all these what ifs, because that's where emotion comes in and feelings and all of that. Do I pay for leads for my team? So we spend about $8,000 a month in marketing, and that's Facebook, LinkedIn, Google. And so this is mostly around our listings. So when someone clicks on it, it goes right into our boomtown, and the agents on our team are round robin for those leads that come in. And so if you want to talk about paid leads, that is for them. So any buyers that come in, the team gets those round robin if they are hitting their goals. Yeah. If you're not hitting your goals, then we're going to have a conversation about what's going on. Where can I help? Where can the team help? And we're not just going to automatically take them away. But if you're not hitting the team minimum expectations so that we can pay our bills, then we're going to, you're going to be skipped out of lead rotation until you get your act together. And that's how that works. And it's not emotional. It's not like you did something wrong. It's clearly you've got something you need to work on. And whether that's scripting so that you can convert these leads or whatever that is. We want to give you that. So when you get these leads again, you're converting them, you've got the time and the energy so that our team is actually converting the leads instead of them just sitting out there or picking another realtor.
You get them back into training.
Absolutely.
A question.
Yeah.
Do you coach?
I do.
Math Coach or who do
No.
you coach?
So I think MAPS coaching is amazing. And
You're asking all the questions from the first 10 minutes. This is
Yeah.
great.
no, it's okay. I think MAPS coaching is amazing and it wasn't a good fit for me. I'm a big supporter. Most of my realtor friends at KW have MAPS coaches and they're doing and it's fantastic. I'm I need someone to know me. And what I found is a business coach that she's actually down in North Carolina. And she flew up to Minneapolis and she spent 4 days. This is even before I signed a contract to work with her. She spent 4 days with me, with my husband, with my team's kids and families, so that she could really understand what is important, what is going on in these folks' lives, so that she can actually coach and understand where we're coming from. And that to me was very impactful. And now we've been together for almost 7 years. Yeah. And I once you have a budget for it, and even if you don't, figure out how to get it. If you don't have a coach, I promise you, none of you are as good as you think you are. And I say that because that's the message I thought I was the best and I could figure it all out. I wasn't as good as I thought I was. And find a coach whose strengths are here. If these are yours, don't find a coach that is good at all the things you're good at. Find a coach that's really, really good at the things that you try to hide or you try to pretend isn't happening, who's going to say, hey, I see you down here. Let's work on this. And that's made all the difference. Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for having me here. All right, you're welcome. Yes, absolutely. Oh, there's Shelley. Hi, Shelley.
Yeah.
What are you gonna
Hi,
have?
Shelley.
There she is.
Hi, how are you? Sorry I couldn't be there in person. I had to do some walkthroughs this morning, so
Oh,
but
that's
I'm glad
okay.
I got to jump on.
It's good to see your face.
Good to see you. Thank you so much for coming to the office and doing this. It was great.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Have a good rest of your day.
You too. Thank you.